Hello humans, this is Retro Rocket Man, back again after a while with another video. This time I'm doing a Buzz Lightyear XL15 pilot version. This is a 12-inch figure made by Mattel for the Disney Corporation, based on the new or recently released Buzz Lightyear movie. It's got all some wonderful detail, a removable helmet and quite a bit of articulation as well. It's going to be a good figure to paint up. Elbow articulation, shoulder articulation, a neck swivel, some waist articulation, basically just a swivel from side to side. Legs forward and back, knees, even a bit of ankle, and pivot as well on the knee area, and wrist articulation as well. Elbow swivel too. So he's a good figure, got a lot of nice detail. He just needs to be helped along a bit in the appearance department. And the way I'm going to make him look better is by doing this to him. This is a previous version I did, and I'm going to paint him and weather him up. So we're going to start by redoing the grey areas in my own grey. This is a acrylic steel grey colour. I just want to repaint all these areas again because there are other areas on the figure that need grey as well, and I want them to look all the same. So I'm just painting over some existing grey mouldings. As you can see there, on the elbows he has elbow pads, but they're just moulded orange plastic, so I have to paint them grey and they need to match the shoulders. And also the same in behind the knee pads. It's like a grey undersuit, so I need to paint those areas in the same grey as well, just so it all matches and looks uniform. Also, there are certain other grey accents on the costume, on the uniform, and I'm just painting those in as well. The lower half of the legs are just plain white moulded plastic, so I need to give it some detail. On the belt buckle, that is actually appears to be white according to the screenshots from the movie, so I'm just filling in those little details as well, trying to keep it as close as I can to how it appears in the film. So a bit of white accenting on the gloves as well. There are also some lighter greys that I'll have to pre-mix, such as in these areas here, just to give it a different depth and give it the dynamics as it appears in the film. So a lighter grey going on the shoulders and on the chest plate. This will definitely add more interest and break up the all that solid moulded plastic. And some details on the helmet as well. It's not exactly a pure white helmet, it's got grey accents too. And I'm just doing a little bit of internal shading here. And some more detail on the outside. Just filling in a lot of the moulded plastic with the same greys that I used on the suit, just to tie it all in together. Make it look part of the same uniform. Now a bit of silver detailing, some chrome silver around the wrists and on the back of the belt. around the, I suppose it's the locking ring on the helmet, as well as other little silver details, just to make it more interesting to look at. Some of this stuff I'm not entirely sure how it looks, but I'm just sort of adding my own slant to it as I go. Now I need to mix up some orange, and I'm just using some yellow acrylic and some red, and trying to make an orange that sort of resembles the same sort of tones that are on how he appears in the movie on his suit. Paint more accents where there should be orange but there isn't on the figure. So I've decided to overpaint the existing orange just so it looks all the same for those other areas where I need to paint the orange to try to match. As I did with the grey, I'm doing the same with the orange. This required a couple of coats because it was still quite transparent, but the end result will speak for itself. Now to give the face a new lick of paint, I'm using Tamiya Flesh Acrylic just to tone down the plastic look of the face, give it a flatter sort of complexion. Flesh him out if you like. It's amazing how much better it looks already without that plastic look to it. And now I'm just giving the lips a little bit of pinkness, just so that they stand out a bit more and break up the face a bit more. Even though he's a caricature, still want to give him some sort of realism, trying to emulate how he appears in the film. Bit of pink rouge on the cheeks, just to give it more depth and warmth to the facial features. I was stippling it on. I'm using like a dry brush approach. I'm not using too much paint. And around the chin area, just to give him a flush. Then I'm going to tone it down with some more Tamiya Flesh, because I don't want him to look like a clown. And I'm just blending them. Just to give it a subtle tone to his face. And a little bit on the nose too, doesn't hurt. So here he is so far. This is basically all the paint done, and it's looking pretty good. It's got a lot more interest to it than the more boring version. Put some silver buckles on. I've painted the leg straps, done the belt buckle, put silver accents on that. The boots and the legs all have grey tones to them, patches here and there, just to break it up. And he's looking pretty good. Now I could stop here if I wanted to have a totally clean look, but that doesn't work for me. I'm going to have to dirty him down. The face is looking pretty good too, so a lot less like just moulded plastic, and give him a bit more depth. Now it's time for the weathering. I'm going to start with the soles of his boots. This is the black shoe polish, just liquid shoe polish going on, just to bring out all those lines in the tread, and just give it a little bit of wear and tear. Brush it on, let it soak in, and then dab it off with a rag. And pretty much the same approach with the entire figure, but I'm doing it one section at a time, not trying to get too far ahead of myself. So I'm just going to be brushing it on, letting the shoe polish get into all those creases and bring it out to detail, and then dab off the excess with a rag. And the orange parts of his jumpsuit also getting the same treatment. This will just give it much more interest and show a bit more wear and tear, like he's been running around on some far distant planet, getting into all sorts of trouble. And you just repeat this process over the entire figure, just doing a little bit at a time. You don't want the shoe polish to dry completely, because then it gives you more work to take it back. So again, getting it coated in the shoe polish and then removing the excess in a dabbing motion with a cotton rag. And this is the chest plate, I guess you'd call it. It's got a lot of interesting sculpt panels in it, so I want to bring those out. And it's also going to dirty down that pristine plastic look and give it much more interest. Again, I'm just carefully removing the excess while it's still wet, but I don't want to take too much of it away, because I want to leave that black shoe polish in all those lines and sculpt areas. You can see this, how it just makes those things, those details you never noticed before, just stick out. That's what I mean by creating interest. Something cool to look at, because he is a pretty cool figure. Some people didn't like the movie. There's been a lot of negative sort of criticism towards it, but I still found it entertaining, and there's a lot of cool design in it. That's the main thing. I'm interested in the craft and design of things and how it's portrayed. And I picked this figure up for $10 on clearance, and I think it's well worth the money given all the detail that's in this figure. Once the shoe polish is dried, I want to go in and clean it up a bit more, so I'm using a wet scouring sponge, squeezed out of course, we don't want it dripping. It's a soft scourer, so it's not going to scratch it up too much, and we just want to take off that surface shoe polish that's left behind and leave a lot of it in the panel work and the line work on the figure. This is going to create a nice contrast between old and new. And of course you can do this to your own taste, so you like the look of it. You can take off as little or as much as you like. It's entirely up to you. The same treatment on the orange jumpsuit, just to give it that weathered, aged appearance, and it just ties it in with everything else. It doesn't make any sense to do one part and then leave the other. It's all about continuity. One thing I did forget to mention is when the paint process was dry, I gave it a clear coat, a couple of clear coats of a sealer, of a matte sealer, acid-free, just to protect my paintwork when it came back to doing the weathering and the removal of the shoe polish. If I don't do that, then I am in danger of removing some of the paint, and I don't want to do too much of that. I want to leave something behind. And that's why there is a bit of a sheen to the paint finishes. Again, just removing the excess shoe polish from the boot area, and this tones down that stark whiteness. It just gives it a higher level of realism. You can see the difference there. Here's a good example of going in with the scouring sponge after, how it just brings that light back again, but not totally. It's still very much dulled down. And it just gives you that nice weathered, aged, used look. This process does take a little bit of the paint off, but just around the edges, and it adds to that aged realism. So I kind of like that too. Toning down the dirtiness of his suit by removing that excess shoe polish again, just to let the orange come back through again. Just gives it that final look that I like. And the same treatment on the helmet, just to make all those sculpted details pop, bring them out, and also make it tie it in with the rest of the suit that finishes to look uniform after all. Just going back in, painting some extra little paint details. There's a red button on the belt buckle and a little red light on the helmet. Just little details that bring up a lot of nice little interest in the figure. So there you go, humans. That's a Buzz Lightyear XL15 pilot version, and it's got a lot of lovely detail. It really is a cool figure. It's the sort of thing I like to do. This is made by Mattel, and that's how he appears in the film. And that's my version there, as close as I could get it. All the details there, so congratulations Mattel on a good figure. I hope you enjoyed it, humans, and this is Retro Rocket Man. By the way, Merry Christmas. Hope you have a wonderful break and a great new year. Over and out.